Hello everybody, it's Dylan from Anime, and welcome to another My Hero Academia review. This time, we will be reviewing Season 2, Episode 13, or Episode 26 of Boku no Hero Academia, My Hero Academia. And this was a very lighthearted, fun episode with some kind of more dark and serious elements, and I'll get to that later in the review. Overall, it was an enjoyable episode. It was nice to just it was more of a transitional episode, and it was nice to not maybe be as high impactful and high octane as all the other episodes this season have been. It was nice to just maybe take a breather, enjoy some lighthearted comedy, which this show has done, in my eyes, extremely, extremely well, and it really executed on that comedy very well in this episode as well. But at the same time, it hasn't lost its serious tones, and there was a lot of darker elements in this episode that had to do with Todoroki to a degree, but even to a bigger degree, Ida's brother, and just Tenya Ida, and what might happen to him. That line at the very end, the very last line of the episode before the preview, and then we did have a little bit of an epilogue too, but the last line of the episode from Midoriya, that he said he should have been more emphatic because he would live to regret what would eventually happen. A very ominous and chilling warning, a very chilling way to end this episode, which was, for the most part, a very fun, lighthearted episode besides that. So the episode begins, they're all back in Eraserhead's classroom, and Eraserhead says, for the next week, you're going to be interning with professional heroes. And when I heard that, I actually really liked that idea, because we're going to be introduced to more professional heroes. We're going to see how all these characters that we all know and love are going to interact with professional heroes in legit settings, and interning is just such a normal part of, I think, every person who goes through the educational system's life. Like, I think we've all, heard the term interning if we've gone through college, or maybe right out of high school you went into the workforce, but internships are just such a big thing nowadays that it's easy to relate to. And so, and again, the prospect of them just teaming up with pro heroes is very, very enjoyable, at least to me. But before they do that, they all have to pick hero names. Also, Todoroki, interestingly enough, got the most offers, while Bakugo got the second most. Todoroki, I think, got like 4.5, and Bakugo got like 3.7, and the next closest was like 300, so they blew it out of the water, those two. And one of the students made a comment like, oh, it's interesting that Todoroki got the most offers, even though he didn't come in first. But the simple reply to that, and the thing that I kind of would have guessed as well, is Bakugo was restrained on the first place poll. It is a big risk taking someone, not really a risk, more so a challenge to take someone in and maybe deal with someone that's their kind of personality, that's their kind of style. Someone who, when you take them into intern, is probably going to think that they are better than you. That's just how Bakugo goes. And so you have to be some kind of person. I know myself, if I was a hero personally, a professional hero, I would not be able to deal with someone as hot-headed and as intense as Bakugo. It really takes, it's like the people who kind of have like wolves as pets or bears as pets. It takes a special, people that talk to lions in the woods and stuff, and hang out with lions. There's someone on YouTube that does that. I forget the name, but it takes a certain type of person, a special kind of person that can deal with someone that fiery and that passionate under their belt. So that made perfect sense to me, that Bakugo, even though, yes, he won the tournament, did not get the most, but he still got a crazy amount of internships. It's not like he was shorthanded there or stiffed in any way. So they all go and pick names, and there were some really good names. I think the funniest part is, though, they all have these serious great names, and then Bakugo gets up and he's like, Fiery Explosion Killer, and Midnight, who's overseeing the whole thing, is just like, yeah, let's not do that, because that's not really a hero-like name. And so Bakugo, we actually don't know what his hero name is. Midoriya's is Deku's, which I figured it would have been. And the other one that I liked, well, not that I liked, but I thought really showed where these characters are, were, I kind of hinted at the beginning of the review, Todoroki and Ida. Todoroki uses his own name, and it seems like Todoroki has almost fallen into a depression. That's kind of what I got from it, because the one dialogue we get between him and Yaoyorozu, when Yaoyorozu's just like, oh, congratulations, Todoroki, you're awesome, or something like that. And Todoroki doesn't take the compliment, and he's just like, oh, it's probably just because of my father. And he talked in a very low-key way, and I don't want to say he's definitely upset about everything that's happened, about using the left side of his body. We don't know how the conversation went with his mother. I'd like to think it was a very nice conversation, but there might have been an off chance that his mother was maybe a little bit cold and distant to him. I don't think, I like to think that that's not the case. We didn't get anything from that. Hopefully we will get to see a scene from that interaction at some point in the future. Obviously the manga readers know if we will or haven't, but then I guess in the manga they could always go back to that scene. I know they're like 100 chapters ahead of the anime, but I guess it's always possible to utilize flashbacks and scenes like that. Either way, Todoroki definitely not as, he was never, the most upbeat person, but you can tell he's definitely even taken it down a notch even for him. So he just uses his name Shota as his hero name. We get an interaction between Ida and his brother is like, I didn't want to tell anyone this, but I have no feeling in my legs. So Ida's brother is paralyzed, which was definitely upsetting to hear. Obviously it's great and you have to be thankful that he didn't lose his life, but to be paralyzed after being a professional hero is almost as bad, you could argue. I mean, you can't do the thing that you love. You will never be able to maybe get vengeance on the person that did this to you, even though heavy implications that that's what Ida's main motivations are now, which makes me, and I think it should make a lot of viewers a little worried about what is going to happen to Ida in the future, especially because of that Midoriya line. But Ida's brother goes, look, I want you to take over for me. The name doesn't have to be dead. I want you to, if you're up for it, to take over my hero name, to take over my pedestal, if you will. And Ida's in the middle of writing his brother's hero name out. I think it's Ingenium or Indenium. It's something like that. That's why I've been saying Ida's brother, because I don't remember the name exactly, but it's something along those lines. And I'm too lazy to look it up. And he writes the first 3 letters, and he gets to the board, and I would have loved for him to do it, but that would have taken him, that would have meant he would have not only had to write off his brother, who maybe there's an outside chance of recovery, but he would have had to tell the entire class, he would have had to tell Midnight that his brother's gone, that his brother, while he's still with us, is gone, is no longer a hero. And he couldn't tell it to Midoriya, who's probably his best friend. He told Midoriya in the beginning of the episode, no need to worry about my brother. So he's just not at that emotional state where he can tell all of his colleagues and all of these young aspiring heroes that his brother, the person he looked up to, his main motivation, is out of commission, is gone. And to take on a name like that would have just weighed on him so much. So it's understandable. He gets up and he does not have his brother's name on that whiteboard. He has his own name and he uses his own name. And it seems like him and Todoroki, those are the two I'm really keeping an eye on, because those two right now to me have the greatest turmoil out of any characters right now in the show. I guess maybe Kacchan is there, but I'd say those two are far and above right now in terms of internal struggle. So those two were like the highlight of the episode for me. Uraraka also has a cool line where she's going to train with like a villain attacking hero, which Midoriya was surprised because he thought she wanted to be like 13 where she rescued people. And Uraraka says, well, yeah, I do, but I don't want to be a one-trick pony, essentially. I want to get fighting experience. I want to maybe even get to Kacchan's level. That's kind of what she said. The fight against Bakugo really inspired her to get better in that aspect of her heroism, of her skills. Just much respect for Uraraka. I love her. I love her determination. I love her mindset, because a lot of people would say, yeah, I'm good at rescuing people, that's where I'll intern. But she wants to push herself. She's always trying to get better. She's always trying to advance her skills. And that was a highlight of the episode for me as well. I really like that. The episode ends. They're all about to go on their separate ways. Actually, I'm missing out a big part. Midoriya gets an offer from Gran Torino, which is, I don't know if he was All Might's trainer. I'm pretty sure he wasn't All Might's trainer. I'm pretty sure he was the best friend of the predecessor of All Might, so the person who passed down. So in essence, it'd be like if the person Midoriya passed his all-for-one trait on to, Midoriya's All Might's best friend would be like that person in regard to Midoriya's like son. I know it's not son, but just for lack of a better term, I guess. That's the kind of relationship. Unless, because then there was another line that made me think Gran Torino actually trained All Might. So I don't know, maybe, he was the homeroom teacher for a year. Maybe that's what they were implying. He was All Might's homeroom teacher for a year, and after a year he left. All Might is clearly, jokingly, maybe not so jokingly, but they did it in a joking manner, distraught that Gran Torino maybe went out of his way to come out of retirement, to come out of the woodworks, because I don't know if the actual reason is that he thinks All Might's training is inadequate, but that's how All Might feels about it. And we see in the epilogue scene that Midoriya gets to Gran Torino's house, and Gran Torino has an intestine and a puddle of blood on the floor, and it looks like he's dead. And then he gets up and he's not dead, and that was a really funny scene. This episode honestly had a lot of funny scenes. And based on the preview, it looks like Gran Torino is acting as if he doesn't know who Midoriya is. I imagine this is going to be part of his training, and like this is how he's getting Midoriya to maybe use his quirk or control his quirk. I'm not really quite sure what the motivation is there, but it will be very interesting to see that interaction. And all of the heroes, we see Uraraka walking the streets with the professional hero she's interning under. And the nervy one is we see Ida in his brother's outfit. You have to imagine it's Ida with his brother being out of commission. And he's most likely looking for Stain. Again, Midoriya's line at the end of this episode, very ominous to what was otherwise, for the most part, a very fun episode. The Hero Killer Stain arc, that is the arc that we have entered. Another chilling thing is that Stain is communicating with the hands guy. I always forget his name. And the hands guy, I think it was very quick in the preview. I only watched it once. I think he drew an X over Midoriya's image. And as if that's the next person that he's putting a bounty on. We know Stain has taken out over 40 heroes. He's paralyzed 23, or he's put 23 out of commission, while he's killed 17. This guy, I don't know what the hell his quirk is. I cannot wait to find out. This guy has been built up incredibly, and to think that Ida and Midoriya might be next on his hit list is very, very unnerving. Cannot wait for this arc to really get into it. The transitional episode here was very enjoyable. I thought it was a good way to transition again from the sports festival to now a more legit, the villains are back in town in a way, arc, and that's where we are now with My Hero Academia. So let me know all your thoughts down below. I hope you really enjoyed the review. I will talk to you down below. I hope you have an amazing day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for watching.